Hola friends, welcome to my channel. Today let's watch a movie from 2016 called Pet. Serious spoilers ahead and please subscribe to support us out. The movie begins with Seth, who works at an animal control department. He is in charge of feeding the dogs because he is so caring towards animals and he loves them. On his way home, he sees a young lady on the bus named Holly who went to the same school as him. He greets her while she is writing in her journal, but Holly doesn't know who Seth is. The following day, Seth meets Nate, who works as a security guard at his office. He asks Nate for advice on how to approach his crush. Nate tells him he has to be more confident and approach her gently. Shortly after, his boss informs him that the shelter's capacity is getting full due to the rapidly increasing number of abandoned animals, and therefore one of the older dogs has to be put down so that the cage can be used for other dogs. Sadly, he gives up one of his favorite dogs to be euthanized. Seth extensively researches Holly's online profiles to find some more information about her. The following day, he goes to the restaurant where Holly works as a waitress. He tries to ask her out, but she turns him down. After work, Seth follows Holly back to her house. When Holly gets inside, she tells her friend Claire someone is following her, but Claire says she is just being paranoid. After a while, she takes a drunken phone call from her ex-boyfriend Eric, who cheated on her. The next day, Holly receives a large bouquet of roses at work. Assuming they are from her ex Eric, she goes to the bar where Eric works to thank him for the gift, but Eric says that he was not the one who sent her the flowers. Confused by that, she decides to go out and write in her journal. Seth, who has been following her all this time, goes up to her and asks her if she likes the flowers. Holly asks him if he is following her, but Seth denies and says he just wants to get to know her better. Holly pushes Seth away, but Seth keeps following her. Eric sees Seth is following Holly and he beats Seth up and throws him out. Seth sees Holly's journal on the ground and takes it home with him. He spends the following several days reading every detail in the journal. As his performance at work declines, Seth discovers a trapdoor to a basement in an abandoned room of the animal shelter, where he sets up a steel cage. He also takes some anesthetic and tries it to find out how effective it is by using it on himself. He goes and sneaks into Holly's house and he kidnaps Holly. Just when she is about to go to sleep, he carries her body into the basement using a cardboard box so the security guard doesn't see her. After Holly awakens in the cage, she tries to escape by removing the chains on the cage until her nails fall off. Not long after, Seth comes to give her some food and Holly refuses to eat. After Seth leaves, she chooses for survival and decides to eat. Oddly, she is talking to Claire all night while in the cage. At some point, Seth informs her that he heard Holly talking in both her own and Claire's voice before it turns out that Holly has a personality disorder, and he says that he loves her and has imprisoned her to save her. He also reveals that he knows the truth about her past from the journal. In a flashback of Holly, we see that Holly discovers Eric had slept with Claire and she confronted her about it. During a car ride, Holly angrily continued accelerating the car, intentionally hitting a truck. Although injured, Claire was still alive until Holly stabbed her with a glass shard in the eye. In the end, Claire's death was attributed to the crash, and since then Holly has committed a series of brutal murders and has written about them in her journal. When Seth realized the stories were real, he made a plan to save Holly and prevent her from hurting anyone else, claiming that he now has a purpose in his life. Lastly, over the following several hours, they play psychological mind games with each other as Holly begins to slip details to draw Seth, and Seth insists that Holly committed more murders due to her unrevealed guilt for Claire's death, saying that she wanted to get caught, but she counters it by saying she kills simply because she enjoys it. Seth keeps thinking of other ways to save Holly. One day, his boss threatens to fire him because he is neglecting his job. Nate, who is now suspicious with Seth, follows him and accidentally discovers Holly in the basement, and he wants to rescue Holly right away. The moment Seth returns to the basement, Holly deliberately distracts Nate so that Seth has time to deal with him. Seth then hits Nate's head with a flashlight until Nate faints. Holly tells him to kill Nate using a cinder block because she doesn't want Seth to be caught by the police, so she guides Seth, who is terrified, to remove all traces of Nate's death by cutting Nate's body into pieces, which will later be used as dog food, scattering his teeth in different places and burning his bones at the cremation site. A few days later, the police become suspicious of Seth's role in Nate's disappearance, but Seth succeeds to talk his way out with the help of Holly's words when answering the detective's questions. The days go by and Seth feels that all of Holly's actions are proof that Holly deeply loves him. Holly convinces him to prove his love to her by cutting off his finger. Desperately, Seth does it right in front of Holly, but this gives Holly an opportunity to take his knife and she threatens to kill herself. If Seth doesn't release her, Seth complies with her. She says that she finally believes that he really loves her before slitting his throat after the shocking incident. Holly is now back together with Eric. She finds more evidence that Eric has been cheating on her again. However, she declines to hurt him and instead she travels to a warehouse where it turns out that Seth is still alive and being kept in a cage, horribly mutilated and tortured by Holly. She thanks Seth for saving her by allowing her to take out her murderous nature on him as a substitute. It is also revealed that Seth is now blind, but he still loves her, indicating the quote that love is blind. And here the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to hit the notification button to have our next recap.